All right, so you're convinced. You want to do it, you've made up your mind, you're starting your dietitian private practice, but there's just one problem. You're starting from scratch and you feel a little overwhelmed. You don't know what you don't know. What are you going to expect? And in today's video, I'm going to break that down. I also have a free guide that you can print off or save on your computer and tick off my list step by step. I want you to grab that below. It's a checklist to help you start and launch your dietitian private practice. So the first tip, if you're looking to start your dietitian private practice from scratch, would be to mentally prepare. So when you are becoming a private practitioner, it's a lot different than when you're an employee. And that's why I called my business Dietitian Boss, because you're learning how to become your own boss. And that's a very different skill set that you'll need to embrace versus being told what to do. So often as an employee, let's take for example, as a clinical dietitian, I'll share my experience. I went into work and my boss said, okay, Libby, you need to see here's a census, 8 patients a day in outpatient on average. And you only have X amount of appointments scheduled today. So there you go. All right, this is your expectation. We'd like you to see around 8 patients. And so I would go into work, I would have my working hours, I would have my lunch break, I would know when there was a team meeting to talk with the doctors, and that was the expectation. So I knew what to do. They told me what software to use. I knew when to request vacation. I knew how much vacation I had off. I knew how much I was going to get paid. I knew what type of clients and patients I was going to see. And that was it. And everything was pretty straightforward as a dietitian in a clinical setting. And that is not at all how life works when you become a private practitioner. So in order for you to mentally prepare to start from scratch in your dietitian private practice, you're going to need to develop the mindset and build up the tolerance to be able to make your own decisions. Now, I've made it a lot easier for you with that free checklist I have linked below, so you can tick it off step by step, just so that you can start and launch with your dietitian private practice. But when it comes to being your own boss, there's a lot of decisions that you might not realize when you become your own business. When you own your own business, you might not realize how many decisions that you need to make on a daily basis. Nobody's telling you you have to use a certain software. You're going to make up your decisions about how many people you want to see versus being an employee when you're told you have to see a certain amount of people. And when you're your own boss, you have to report to yourself. So you're going to need to learn how to be accountable for your own actions. And for many of you, well, that just feels uncomfortable. And for some of you, you're cool with it. You just need some practice and you need to learn those skills with time. For others, you're into this idea, but you might just want this to be a part-time, or you might want it to be a side business instead of this being a full-time dietitian private practice. And all of that is okay. And when you fill out a business plan and you start to write out what your hopes and dreams are and what you want to make out of your dietitian private practice that you're starting from scratch, well, once you write down your goals, it'll be easier for you to learn how much of a responsibility you've decided, so you know what level to mentally prepare once you start to write out that business plan. The second tip to start your dietitian private practice from scratch would be to network. Now, when I created my dietitian private practice while I was working as a clinical dietitian, my ability to grow my practice was directly related to my ability to network. I built relationships with people at the hospital. I did some teaching and speaking, and then I was recommended by the people that offered me those jobs to do more teaching and speaking. So because I made an impression and people knew that I wanted work and I was willing to teach nutrition educational topics, I was asked to build a curriculum. And then after I was asked to build a curriculum, I got a pretty good contract deal for 4 years, 4 academic years. I was teaching at higher education level topics about nutritional science. I then used that experience and networked and got a similar job working with pediatric residents. So the point I'm sharing is that once you learn how to network in person, that can really help you build your business skills, and people like to recommend you if you provide a service that they feel is good. So you definitely want to spend some time and energy not only building relationships, but building your craft as well. And that's why I'm big on research, studying the research, learning about research, being aware of topics related to the things that you already do on a regular basis in nutrition. And if you're not sure and you don't have a specialty yet, you can just keep abreast of general nutrition topics, publications that come out, dietary guidelines, etc. So you have a high-level overview of things going on in the realm of nutrition. And that's what I did, and it went a very long way for me, because when I did all my networking and people referred me, it was because I knew a lot about research and I kept up with my research, and they knew if they hired me me for a job, I was going to deliver, and I was going to deliver something robust and well-cited, and that was the reputation I had. And because of that reputation, in addition to my ability to build relationships with people and department heads, I got a lot of work as a dietitian in my private practice while I was also working as a full-time clinical dietitian. Another aspect of starting your dietitian private practice from scratch would be learning automations. Now, I have another video I'll link below about starting a dietitian private practice without tech. But the reality is, if you want to grow your dietitian private practice, if you're working in a virtual capacity, you're going to have to learn technology to some extent. That could be through online scheduling, which requires automations, email marketing, which requires automations, even using an EHR, which will have some built-in automations as well, depending on how you set it up, but especially if you've integrated your online scheduling tool with your EMR, such as Practice Better, Healthy Simple Practice, etc. So thinking about the automations and mentally preparing for the technology that you're going to need to learn, and the learning curve and the time you're going to need to spend with tech is important. I've seen a lot of dietitians struggle with that area, including myself. It's something that is not my strength. I'm not the most techie person, and it's taken me some time to learn how to use tools like our project management tool and even our software or CRM tool, which we used HubSpot for several years. It's taken me time, and it's not my number one skill, but it is something that I had to mentally prepare for, and it's something that I tell my clients to mentally prepare for as well. So if you're not super tech savvy, it's something that you're going to want to keep in mind and know that part of starting a dietitian private practice from scratch, doesn't matter if it's in person or virtual, doesn't matter if it's insurance-based or cash pay, you will need to learn technology. And the more virtual you go and the more you focus on passive income and alternative revenue streams, specifically courses and memberships, the more you're going to need to learn about technology. But have no fears, I'm here to teach you, so make sure to comment below with what type of video around technology you'd like to learn, and I will create it for you. And don't forget to grab that free guide where I have a checklist that you can cross off step by step, item by item, to make sure that you're setting up your private practice from scratch and feeling confident along the way. If you like this video, I want you to check out the next video about the 5 steps that you want to take to get your dietitian private practice started. Say bye, Hamilton. Say bye.